is a demonstration of Wirecast. This is a demonstration of Wirecast. This is a demonstration of Wirecast. This is a demonstration of Wirecast. Demonstration of Wirecast. This is a demonstration of Wirecast. demonstration of Wirecast. Of Wirecast. Of Wirecast. This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Hello everybody. Welcome to this Governance and Circular Economy Roadmap session. My name is Kari Helvi. I lead the Circular Economy area at Sitra, Finnish Innovation Fund. I feel like a bit like Rod Stewart now. I have a bit post-flu, rusty voice, but I'm not going to sing to you anyhow. But I will present some of the key findings from our side to kind of back up the session itself. To tackle the major challenges like climate change and overconsumption of natural resources, we need global approach for circular economy. Emissions don't know borders. Material value chains don't know borders either. So it's really important to have global governance and intergovernmental coordination of policy making. And for that reason, roadmaps are very important. Like this morning was already stated that you have to have a plan to know where you're actually going to. Then when we think about the aspects of that couple of years' time, circular economy has been picking up speed globally as well. And of course, more importantly, also in the political spheres as well. And in many ways, it's really important that both circular economy and climate change mitigation are mutually reinforcing objectives. And for that reason, policymakers in both fields have to join forces. That is absolutely crucial because circular economy really is a critical tool to meet the Paris Agreement objectives. So it's obviously a big challenge as well. And for that reason, we need front-runner countries and especially also organizations, global, such like EU, United Nations, World Trade Organization, to outline global ground rules for policies. For example, EU has drafted the circular economy package, and the member states, more than 10 of them, have made their own roadmaps as well. And obviously, in different parts of the world, also circular economy has been picking up speed. So really, we need also to have many other governments on board and other organizations. And I really see that the World Circular Economy Forum could also play a role in order to kind of push us towards more concrete actions. Then, already today was mentioned about the fair and just transition, that it's really important. And we have been also investigating that at CITRA, and it's very hard to define it clearly. What does it mean? Of course, we could also ask that are the benefits of circular economy distributed fairly when you look at from the geographical, demographical, or sectoral point of view? And there are, of course, many other risks as well. Can circular economy cut some countries out of the global supply chains that they have very hard fight for to enter? I think in EU there's a strong interest in this as well. For example, recent European Economic and Social Committee reflection paper towards a sustainable Europe by 2030 states that one of the key policy areas is really fair and just transition. So there's certainly interest to move to that direction. 2016, Finland established the first national roadmap for circular economy. And now, after 3 years of working very hard in the field, we updated the roadmap in March. And the main idea there is really to have an agile roadmap that we can actually also to update during the years to come. And we have published an article today, also in English. We have also putting kind of experiences from our side, how the process was done and what kind of learnings can we take from it. One of the key things is that the roadmap should be a kind of combination maybe of action plan, strategy, and then a roadmap to follow. And definitely it's about the collaboration and stakeholders, because it's such a big move that we have to make, and we have to get everybody on board. But also in the European Union level, the EU package for circular economy has been an inspiration for many countries, and definitely turn it from national to regional, city and local level plans as well. I think it's a great example how you can actually have more international approach. And I really I congratulate also European Commission for the nomination of the best player in circular economy in Davos. I think it was a well-deserved prize for you as well. But of course, when we think about governments, we have to think about also other players. It's not only about the governmental plans. You have to have companies, you have to have cities, NGOs, and citizens involved as well. Because one of the findings from our side really is that the smaller the focus area that you are focusing on circular economy, you have higher social inclusiveness on the agenda. And I think that's really important to keep in mind, that it kind of becomes closer to the citizens and businesses as well. So of course we at CITRA really hope that in the future we see a day when we can look back and remember that there used to be linear economy. Hopefully that will happen. And once again, I warmly welcome you to the World Circular Economy Forum and this session. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on. So next we'll have a very interesting dialogue, the role of governance and roadmaps in the transition towards circular economy. And it's moderated by Harald Frild, CEO of Circle Economy. Harald, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, good afternoon. It's always difficult to come after Rod Stewart, because I'm certainly not it. But my first life I spent as a journalist, and I'll try to tell you a story beyond governance and roadmaps. And recently I talked to a futurist at the London School of Economics, and I asked him, what's the biggest challenge of these times? And he answered me, and this was to my surprise, it's governance. How are we actually dealing with each other and structuring life around us to make it happen in a sustainable way? And this we are touching upon today. I think the first part will be about governance and then about roadmaps. And we only have 25 minutes for that, and the clock is ticking here in front of me. And I want to talk about 4 things now. One is about pig. The second one is about 9.1%. The third one is how we make the transition. And the fourth one is the big question between opportunity and responsibility. That's the pig. And I think often I'm asked by my son or by people in the street, circular economy, fine, why are we in this mess? And then I pull up this picture and say it's the pig. It's the problem with instant gratification. And that doesn't only come back to consumers, which we all are, but certainly the politicians and business leaders that are often stuck in an old paradigm and where it's difficult to get out of. And I think we're in a position together as a community to make the change together, and that's why it's so complex, because we can only move together. So what we hear today, it has to be an inclusive agenda. It has to be inclusive in a way that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And it's not, we all saw the young generation, and actually, again, not here, and this really is so frustrating. They should be here at the same time. We had the same in our conference in Amsterdam. It shouldn't be young or old or middle age. That's, I don't even know where I put myself, to be very honest. But it's not bottom up and top down. It has to come together. And we had a very interesting debate with Janis. Anybody who believes different, I think, will not be successful. And the third thing, which I came across in the last days, the question of gender equality also comes back in the circular economy debate, because recently we drafted our first proposal in the last 7 years where this was asked from us, please also put this component into this inclusive agenda, which I think is very important. This is the number we came up with about 1.5 years ago, how circular is the world. And the fact at the moment is it's 9.1%, and that's an interesting figure. It keeps your head busy, but it's really not about the figure. So we can debate with professors, is it 11%, 7%? It means there's a huge problem, and we have a huge opportunity. And I think this is very important that we keep ourselves reminding that this is unacceptable. And we recently had, and I'm talking to your head now, and I'm going to your heart, because this is the report we're going to launch in about 10 days from now. We're going to break this down on international reports. We have Austria as a client, and they asked us, so how circular is Austria? And I can't tell you the figure now, but I'll tell you it was very upsetting because Austria thought as a recycling world champion, we are very circular. And then the first meetings we told them, no, that's actually not the same thing. And you all know the debate about recycling and circularity, because there, and we're going to find this in many other countries, especially in the developed world, we are, because of the fossil fuel industry and our dependency on it, there is a big problem with circularity around the topic, which we have to all solve together. The interesting thing in Austria was, and I'm Austrian by the way, is that the debate was not about the figure, not about the head, but in the first engagement dialogues about the circular innovation process that we're leading with them, it immediately got into their heart. So how can we actually work together as business constituents with the civil society and the government? And this was really the interesting thing on kicking off this process, because Austria is quite new to this debate and not as far as frontrunners like in Finland. And thanks for the hospitality, Kari and your team. And then the question becomes, obviously, you have seen all these graphs. How do we get from a linear system into a circular system? And it's such a tremendously interesting debate that keeps me getting up every single day and drives our team forward. And many of you are engaged in the same debate because it is the question of our times. And it's not about circularity itself. It's not a goal in itself, but it's the roadmap that's going to lead to the SDGs. I think that's really the important topic here. And this is then the question that I really find interesting. I want to kick off the debate with. Some of you might have seen that it comes out of the research that was done around the book Donut Economics, and Leeds University put this onto a graph. And the graph reads like this. On the bottom, you see from left to right the transgression of the planetary boundaries. And then from top to, from below to up, it's about the meeting of social demands. And the interesting thing is that countries like Netherlands, Austria, US, Australia, they meet all the demands of the citizens, obviously. But they do this at a high cost by, per country, transgressing all planetary boundaries. And I think that's a very interesting reminder and framing of the debate, because it is great that these countries are doing a lot, but in reality, they all have to move here. as countries like Vietnam, that was in this study mentioned as the front runner on the balance between not transgressing planetary boundaries and making sure that they are meeting the societal demands, that they do this in the most balanced way. And I think